Olympic Games and Healthy Street Initiative. Los Angeles is hosting the Olympic Games in 2028 at an estimated cost of $6.9 billion. If the streets of LA can be returned to its residents and the rule of law per my $1.3 billion proposal that follows, it should be done. The Olympic Games will create a huge opportunity for LA to do exactly this. To miss this opportunity would be tragic. Think about the NBC background stories that will be shown on the air. How many of those stories will be about the homeless? Athletes from around the world will ask how such a great city and nation could allow such human degradation. If this opportunity is not seized, this will be a moment of immense shame for Los Angeles, the state of California, and the nation as a whole. We cannot let this happen. Here is what needs to be done. President Trump should declare a national health emergency similar to COVID-19. Governor Newsom should follow and do the same. Why declare a national health emergency? Because in LA in 2019, approximately 1,000 homeless died primarily due to street-related health issues, especially from drug use. The mortality rate of the homeless in LA is over 250% higher than those with homes. Said another way, if you are homeless on the streets of LA, your life expectancy per the CDC will be 20 years shorter than the average American. When you add typhus and typhoid infectious disease risk that the homeless carry, there can be no doubt that this is a huge public health crisis. A crisis that is national in scope. Is this crisis as serious as COVID-19? Relative to just LA and some other cities, the answer is yes. For when you properly remove comorbidities from COVID deaths, the total number of deaths in LA for COVID are almost the same as the annual homeless deaths. Let me repeat that. The 1,000 per year deaths from homelessness in LA are about the same as COVID-19 deaths in LA. Most importantly, cities are hamstrung in their ability to fight homelessness. Cities like LA have buried themselves with federal, state, and local regulations. Regulations are designed to kill solutions, not solve them. So with a national emergency, LA would have a greater ability to overrule federal, state, and local ordinances, building codes, labor, environmental, fire codes, and to a lesser extent, court rulings. With that done, this is what LA should do. Buy 50,000 each made in USA trailer campers and place them in LA on public and military land. Campers are 1/30th the cost of permanent inner-city housing. The cost of 50,000 campers times 12,000 each equals 600 million plus, say, another 600 million in site prep, 100 million for admin, so total $1.3 billion. Have all campers placed and occupied by 2026, 2 years prior to the Olympics. The land required is 1,000 acres, assuming density of 50 campers per acre, with walking paths, not roads. The 1,000 acres can be divided into 50 sites, say, of 5 to 40 acres each. Existing parked homeless motorhomes would be moved into these same camper parks. 1,000 acres is equal to about 1.5 square miles. Los Angeles has 5,000 square miles. If they can find the land for games, then finding land for the homeless will be easy. These 1,000 acres would eventually be converted into much higher density homeless housing with small, innovative prefab modules. Care needs to be taken to ensure that the new homeless are not incentivized to flood LA to get free camper trailers. This is easily handled by ensuring that only the real homeless qualify. The 50 each 5 to 40 acre camper sites would be segregated according to services needed by each individual homeless. Families would live among families. Drug addicts would live with other addicts. Locate all federal, state, county, and nonprofit services at each housing location. A more centralized approach to delivering services would allow for huge increases in both quality and productivity. Each camper would be replaced every 8 to 10 years. We will again have healthy streets. All homeless encroachment on public and private property would end, no exceptions. The homeless can choose to go into LA's 9,000 beds of existing shelters or the new 50,000 camper neighborhoods. Repeat offenders that refuse to accept either the shelter beds or the new camper trailer shelters and services would be sent to a secure mental health or rehab facility. Let's talk about the $1.3 billion in funding. I'm proposing 60% would be federal and 40% state and local. Following 2 years of program success, this program would be rolled out on a national level. The program cost would be roughly 10 times the cost of the LA program, given that about 90% of the homeless in the U.S. live outside of LA. So, about $13 billion spread over 5 years. Homeless advocates might consider parts of this proposal a civil rights issue. Yet this nation and its citizens support the rule of law, one in which no one has the right to break laws. No one has the right to degrade public property, defecate on streets, steal to support their drug habit, intimidate others, or subject their children to living on the street. The only legal right that homeless have in this regard, per the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, is the right to stay on the street if the city in question cannot place them in shelter. Of course, the homeless have a right to pursue a dignified life. They will. With the proposed 50,000 camper units made available, the right to stay on the street would happily end forever. My proposal is not new or unique. A bright software developer several years ago formed Citizens Again, that advocates for building an entire city in rural California to house the state's homeless population for less than $4 billion. My proposal only differs in that it keeps the homeless where they choose to live and mostly avoids the internment camp criticism. Keeping the homeless inside the city will also force city planners and councilmen to consider the consequences of politically motivated housing laws that only compound the problem. Finally, my plan is extremely easy to execute and certainly infinitely easier than hosting the Olympic Games. It is time we got off our collective butts and dealt with this problem. Yes, this is not a permanent solution, but like all human endeavors, one does not first send a rocket ship to Mars without first flying into orbit and then to the moon. Most importantly, those early successes will cause excitement among the stakeholders. Right now, homeless stakeholders are suffering defeat after defeat. And without radical change, things will only get worse. Stakeholders are long overdue for a victory. And what better way to celebrate that victory than with the opening of the LA Olympic Games, with 99% of its homeless housed, and with all Americans proud of LA and its showcasing of our amazing athletes. We have a choice. At the opening ceremony of the Games in 2028, LA can either be the true city of angels, or it can continue on its existing failed path. I choose one city, one LA proud. Join me by sending this video to your friends.